Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The cosmic flight systems is one of the steps that will bring maturity to man. And we especially set up to do this in past 4 or 5 weeks. And now it's been set up primarily that is ready to be adopted, to be part of the operation of what we call cosmic flights. As we have finished with your flight testing people, your mobile people are the only ones which go through this process. Those of you who signed up to become mobile, now we ask you, those of you who want to be into what we call the moon and the space development, you'll become gradually involved. We'll bring you in the way we brought, the way you came, the way we interacted with you, the mobile, what we call passengers, will be brought in, moved from one place to another, and gradually we establish a new flight system, new arrival system, because you don't fly anymore. You arrive at the destination. This is part of what we call progressive development of the knowledge for us to be. When I walked into the system this week, it was amazing what I could see. When I walked in and I felt the field forces of it, it was amazing how much, how deep I could feel to not the essence of the physicality, but to the essence of the soul. Mankind is ready to take that a step up. And as I said, the new system's getting finished, hopefully in the next 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending what our people do. We'll start the mobile system transmutation. As I said, our first passenger has been chosen. We have moved certain things to position in Austria that we can deliver, we can go through the process. Then we inform you as a mobile, what we call test people, what you need to do. We ask you clearly what you need to do, where you want to go, and what you have to do before we move. You live in Los Angeles and you want to be in Tehran. You have to follow a process. And systematically, we get you deregistered in the United States with American customs, and we enter you into territory of Iran in hand of the Iranian authorities. You want to go to Japan, is the same. You want to come from Beijing to Austria, is the same. Till we establish a system that the governments feel free with a movement. The biggest enemy, the biggest block for us coming to this point will be the government trying to control, trying to keep hold, trying to confine. There is one guarantee we will give. Anyone who enters these systems and anybody comes out of these systems will be peaceful, will not be an addict, will not be an alcoholic, and will never commit a crime. This is the cornerstones of the new development of the new technologies. Step by step, we have to, in a way, gain the confidence of what we call different parts of this planet, in each other, and in that process, that we don't rely on world leaders. As I said to the American officials a few days ago, which of the world leaders you want to bring in to stop the mayhem? You don't need to take them to The Hague and go to rigorous ways of months and years of court. We want the world leaders, we move the world leaders to where, not the Americans, but where the society as a whole sees them to be fit to be there. Do we need to move the head of the states, which are what we call unjust, to a position of for them to be standing to their soldier position and return them back to their position? No man, no depth of this planet or universe is far away from our control and movement. The reality of the knowledge and the way we will touch will be shown in the coming weeks and months. As some of you know, we have started the shipment of the Universal Enhancement Units as of this month. And this is parallel to what is being achieved and what is going to be done. 6 units are getting set up to go to Arizona. 3 units will end up in the Keshe Foundation, what we call center in Germany. And then the production, which already be paid for the materials, the assembly of will start in December and in January. And we start delivering what we call the enhancement units as we have started this. We'll see, we understand, and we process the whole technology in one go. I hope humanity is ready for the change to come. And I hope humanity can understand the change that we bring. And I hope sooner than later, the world governments come to agree that we need to govern as one nation to be able to be governable. Otherwise, there is no way on this planet that you can hide and duck. Development and delivery of the what we call cosmic systems, which can contain the conditions of man's life in the universe, is in the process of completion. We can change, keep the dimension of the cosmos fields as it is for all the universe, and change the parameters inside to the earth level, to the level of the fields of a dog, a man, a tree. You want to feel how a tree feels? Now, with the completion of the dimension of cosmic space, in a way to hold on, to get everything done, is possible. You wanted to know how it feels to be from another point and place in the universe. You change the environment inside the gravitational field string and the heartbeat and the condition of the field forces of the gravitational magnetic field of the position in time and space. You will arrive there instantaneously. As I said, many of you came at the beginning, and I repeated that many times. When you said you went to the depth of the ocean, when the first knowledge seekers came and said they could feel the moon and they could pick up the stones, we did not laugh. We just learned from you how far our technology is correct. You can feel. Now we have to give you the physicality. Physicality could not be confirmed on the moon and Mars because we don't have the cosmic ray levels that it could support the life on the moon. Now we can. Now we have. And very soon, as I said to our colleagues in NASA, you choose. We'll take you there. And this is the understanding of the totality of knowledge of the creation. In the bandwidth of the strength of the life of the man in the dimension of the soul, we have the dimension fields of the universe and the universe. We didn't know. As we didn't know that our soul is in the center of our body, now we can move to that position instantaneously. It's for man to understand the dimension of the field forces of his creation, and for man to understand the power that this new technology will give to man. Man will live for thousands of years, millions of years on the planetary Earth dimension and size. We'll try to explain this in more detail, that gradually in the next 4 or 5 weeks, those of you who have registered for what we call mobile system, to be prepared to move. We don't want to bring you here to Austria. After the first 2 or 3 trials, we want you to appoint a place and a time on this planet. And then we move you. Then we put you there and then. And we allow you to be in that position. And you have to be prepared that whatever you receive at point of arrival, you have to accept, because that was your wish. You live in the cold places in Canada, and you wish at that time to be in California or Florida with your son or your brother. You will end up suntanned, perfect American accent, and with the clothes to be on the beach, which your soul chooses to be to cover itself. It will be very interesting. How many of you will make an appointment with your brother or your lover in the deep oceans, in a submarine, and how many of you will go in the depths of the caves to see if I can be seen, I can be taken through the earth materials? Test us. The only thing is, you can fail. Part of your leg will be on the top of the mountain and the rest of you down in the cave. It will be fantastic to see how fast you generate the leg you missed on top of the mountain. But this is now a reality, as the Frenchman felt the push of the soul, of the physicality of the journey. I, as I always say, welcome you to the new world of science, technology, and understanding of the creation of life on this planet. And I hope we'll see the end of all the miseries and mayhems for the human race.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 599th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 17th, 2025. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in this weekly series of continuous workshops. And once again, we have the honor of the presence of Mr. Mehran Keshe to direct us through this workshop. And please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Morning, good day to you as usual. Wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers programs from Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, we welcome you back, and we endeavor to carry on with the process of what we've been doing past few weeks and years. From last week, when we start explaining in more detail about the time and how time is created, how a sperm and egg having their own soul create their own time, that the new time is a new child, and the rest of the world of the creation is the same. Fields meet, interact. Child is a star, child is a galaxy, child is a universe, and in all processes, everything is the same. The time when the actual process starts controlling its own destiny. That's what we call the beginning of time. When single cell decides itself, where I live, how long I exist, and what I'm prepared to give to the environment around me, that my existence support their life, like every layer of the skin of the man. It changes every 28 days, but you have middle layer, top layer, and bottom layer, and they all collaborate to guarantee the existence of each other. Otherwise, once one gets damaged, the other ones don't exist, and they're in trouble. They give enough for the others to exist, and they take enough for them to survive. And what they don't have be absorbed from outside. Let what I need come through. Let the bottom layer needs let come through, and what the bottom layer has and doesn't need it from inside, let's the top layer to get rid of. We call it the sweat, we call it the heat, whatever. This is a process of creation. Stars, galaxies. A planetary system works exactly the same way. The inner side creates heat. The skin of the planet allows certain amount of heat. The gases allow the heat to evaporate, to go into the what we call the space of the universe, that Earth can keep its condition. So we understand each one creates its own time. It dictates its own time. The complexity of knowledge comes into when you transfer and transmute combination, which times you choose. You man, you're wearing a suit made of wool. You got in your pocket an apple, one the one you eat and one the one you communicate with. You have a bite of it, and you travel. You have a coin in your pocket, and you have documents and papers. Each one has his own time. You create a condition that the time matches, that they travel with you. If you forget, you leave the apple on the desk in physical life. If you don't get the time right for the existence of the life of the apple, when you get to the other side, the time is 3 days ahead, is rotten in your pocket. So it's important for us to understand combination of time. The intro was fantastic. This intro past 10 minutes brought a rush of memories. Every word said in there, it brought back so much confirmation of technology bit by bit. Coincidentally, past few days going through, trying to make pictures ready for the presentation on the 19th, I came across some of the pictures which brought back so many memories, and with this intro, brought it right in. I saw a picture with John standing with his passport in his hand, saying, I'm ready to go, I'm there. Before that, I had to approach the authorities that are bringing people in. What we're going to do, I spoke to the American embassy. You're transmuting, and they said, no problem. When you do, we know we got the name, we recorded it. And I remember when John came in telling me where he is, what he does, what I'm doing, what I've got in my hand, where I was in the exhibition. It was just one confirmation after another. It is how knowledge is built on. He devoted his life to bringing that knowledge, transmutation. And he was the first passenger. We brought through the fear of physicality. I remember his more or less cries, why can't I show myself? I said, there is something short in our system. I went upstairs in the back room where he used to lie when he was with us. And he said, I'm in that room. I'm lying on the sofa. I'm lying on the chair. And it was amazing how precise he was. When I touched the what we call the obesos, he said, you're near the obeso. I can see it. I can read the writing. The only thing is left is to match the time of the soul with the time of physicality. This is what our technology was not full with. And now we're achieving that time. We understand that process to develop technologies for it. Part of this process comes from understanding of oneself. How do we transmute? How do we transfer matching times? Why couples try for years, but they cannot. There's nothing wrong with either of them, but they cannot have a child because the soul of the egg and the sperm does not match. They can't coincide. It's something in the emotion of the mother which does not allow the egg to transfer its time to the other. That's all it is. Why they suddenly separate and join another partners and both have children? Because the time fits. The energy balance is there, the materials there, the place, the position, and the possession are there. But the emotion and what we call the time of the amalgamation of the two to make one does not exist, does not have the matching time. It's like putting iron to a copper and trying to attach to it by what we call magnetize it or pull it together. It doesn't fit, even though they're both perfect. In the coming time, we have shown in 2 or 3 cases in Africa and in Europe where we have fixed that time. We energize one to approach them. I remember that one of the directors of the Standard Board of Africa, Ghana, approaching me and saying, I can't get, my wife can't get pregnant. We've been married and it's a shame in our culture. And 3 months later, as we were doing the process of the certification, when I provided them the materials, told them what to do, he said, Mr. Keshe, you've done magic. My wife is pregnant. We change the energy balance. We change the possession. We change the position. Can't change the place. But the place and the position is confirmed. We cannot do anything. We want a human child. Only thing we change is the elevation of the change of in position, which is the change of the type, and the emotion of the both, which wanted the child. These technologies now become part of what we call travel of the future. As we move forward with our development and what we call the work in China with this agreement we signed, this side of technology will be rapidly explored. The wellness side, the energy side, the space travel side, in the agreements we signed, will bring this forward. What will need to be done, what we suffered from the West to not support, we received it from the East. And we gradually bring the technology into a line that can be used. As you've seen in the past few weeks and months, Chinese have developed a new dimension of technology, which is now baffling the West. If any of you have not understood, not heard of it, go and search for it. A new technology by Chinese scientists have been developed. They call it the quantum technology. It's a Keshe Foundation technology based on what the scientists are doing. And now we push this forward. Major breakthroughs. They are asking for physics to be redefined. Now we understand how it's going to be redefined. is part of the space plasma technology, cosmic rays, which their scientists, due to the work we've done with them over years, they picked up, they've done some of it themselves, and now breaking through. You hear more and more about it. Quantum computers, quantum flights, quantum communications, all are coming in. It's on the back of the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation. The work we've done over years, the scientists have picked up, the engineers have picked up, and they're building on it. They changed the name of the quantum in around about 2018, and the gentleman who changed the name, but they kept on using it, is one of the knowledge seekers who used to translate for us. Now we know how deep it is and how they work, but now the collaboration is direct. So now, why the Chinese can't do it properly? They miss the time. They start working on this time bracket somewhere in the background to see what and how they can bring it in. The essential of the time is, in a way, if we sort out the time, it's the time of manifestation. Then we see a different world. Then we see amalgamation of what we call knowledge. We see we actually are not walking in air. We're walking into a solid brick wall on every move we make. But we are not in that time. We are on the human time. For another being, what we do is amazing. In a way, we are in the middle of a stone. We do not exist for them because they have a different time bracket than we do. To fall in love with the creatures of the universe and then to have the children of Mitra needs timing, the right timing, in a way that the energy from my soul, the energy from what I give, has the position and the place for it to go in the depth of the space which matches to the other side. Does not matter how beautiful it is. We've seen in the human race, people fall in love with a bed, with an apple, they go to bed with something else like a partner. We are aware of this. But now this becomes part of the ever evolution of the man in space. We feel the energy of the being and we fall in love with it. We don't need to physically touch it. We, in a way, consume energy from them and we give energy to them. We will endeavor and we will come across new conditions and new positions. We have to be ready for it. And the best place for it is how we understand the timing. Everything with us has to have one common denominator, timing, that when you land in a place, the apple is as fresh as you left it in your pocket, the phone is fully charged and is not out of date, your money is in the pocket for the right place to spend, and the rest of documents has got writing on it because the ink has a different timing than the paper is written on. Then you understand. It goes back to hydrogen. Common denominator of the time for man is one of the spectrum isotopes of hydrogen, which keeps the time for the whole universe. It starts from the creator to the man and beyond the universe of the man. It's the responsibility of the scientist to find that time, the isotope, which carries the common denominator of time between the man and the creator and all entities created within the dimension of the man. As we are developing the technologies, as we understand more and more of it, then we come to understand one principle. We are all connected. We are all branches of one tree. We end up with one trunk and we connect to one earth. But this earth is the creator, as the soul of the whole creation of the man and the universe is the same. We call it the tree of life, but this is the tree of creation, where the root sits with the creator and in different form or shape and strength feeds the trunk of the life, which every branch of it, the leaf and fruit of it, is one galaxy, one universe, and the rest of it. Now we understand how life has to be understood. We have to be that common denominator which connects us from the leaf to the branch, to the trunk, to the creator. So there is a common denominator. There is a sap which feeds all of us and has the same timing. The tree falls for a spring, the tree moves into summer, the tree feels at the same time the autumn and the winter. One branch doesn't stay green in the winter and the rest go to sleep. One common denominator, energy, controls the whole lot. And that's the time factor. And when the two time matches with the time of the creation, fits to move, fits to travel, fits to be a creator. The process of time will be more and more understood according to the emotion. In the physical dimension, we call it seasons. It changes as the seasons, the emotion of the warmth and the love and closeness changes. We have the leaves, the summer, the fruit, the autumn, the leaf falls, and the winter, the nakedness of the plant. That's all it is. We call it the season. We call it the emotion. That's all it does. And once we understand this and how it works, how seasons are created, how we can change condition to create different seasons, we have managed to understand the work of time. Time is a spring, summer, and autumn. But in fact, the summer is creation of that child when the soul of the child is created in the womb of the mother. Then it comes the fruit time, which is the birth of the child. Then it comes the growth time, which is the summertime. And it comes to the winter when the man dies. It's all the same word, but we have chosen different names to fit us, but we never understood the fundamental organization of it. The emotions and the seasons and whatever you call it creates its own dimension of time. Man will reach the point of maturity when he understands how to control that emotion, how to replicate that emotion. In the teaching of last week, we explained to all of you that there is a system running in the background. And the response we had in the past few days, those of you who reported back to us, is amazing. Losing addiction, changing direction, finding new joys in life, which didn't exist, and the rest of it. As I promised, today's session is the same. The systems are working in the background. We are changing time for you. We are affecting the timeline the way it affects you. Write to us, and then we understand how deeper we reach. Those of you who are on the panelists, you can see the system setting up and running from the beginning of the session. See how we change your time. See what has changed in next few days, next few weeks, and from now on. Something you wanted, you wish to have, has it come true? How come suddenly and not the day before today and not the day before last Friday? Now you understand how collectively we are touching your time. Some things go bad, something goes right. But again, the soul of the man decides as his time has changed. We have changed the position with the dimension of the emotion. We have connected, in a way, we have linked all of you to the trunk of the tree without you knowing it. You are correcting and you're receiving and what you need to do. It'll be interesting how your emotion changes in the coming time and weeks. In a way, all of you, even those of you who wrote to us that you listened to the recording, but you were not present in the session, you have felt a change. So it's the essence of the emotion in time which counts, and not the combination of the lines and the words. This is why when I always said in the teaching, when we teach for the universe and not for the man. Then the enlightenment goes across, is timeless, as it creates its time when it touches the field which is need that energy to create this time. It's what we call enlightenment. Enlightenment of the creation is part of the work of the universal teachers. We work and we strive. We are ruthless in what we do because the ruthlessness brings us to be able to serve those who need at the time of need, not for those who want to take advantage to be superior to others, to confirm their existence. It's the beauty of the knowledge no one can abuse. Now, you have to understand how to create a common denominator at a time. In today's session and last Friday, we have created that. Many of you, gradually as you attend these sessions, you'll find out we play with different dimensions of time. Today, we have set in 2 different dimensions how to generate the time which affects the energy parallel. I explain this sometime in the future. Energy parallel is not the 2 worlds living parallel to each other. Energy parallel is part of the world of the creation. We always know it. In the parallel waves, the parallel fields, you have gravity and magnetical. It's the essence of life. Energy parallel is the same. As the gravitational magnetic fields are part of the magnetic field structure, motion of magnetic fields is called energy, and energy creates its dimension of position, and then at the same time it creates its own time. Parallel energies is part of the structure of the creation of the universe. Most of our universe is not created by fields growing out. Most of the conformation of the existence comes when it comes back in, interacts with what goes out. In a way, when the fields which they go up, then on the way coming back down, they find themselves in the material condition of the rain, the raindrops, the snow. It's not that it just comes all the way from the sky down. We evaporate, we put it up, and on the way down, it changes itself to the drop of rain. This is exactly how most of the creation is created. Once the world of cosmology understands this, they categorize the world of creation in 2 dimensions. And then we understand even one, what we call neutron stars are created. Neutron stars are created by the fields which are going out as a magnetical. The galaxies, planetary system like Earth, are those which are created from the reverse when the energy comes back. It's reduced enough, and it's the way dropping back interacts in 2 ways, with other energies which are going down, or with energies which are coming from the below up, the source of the creation, the worlds going back to the creation. Then we categorize the life of the universe in 3 classic direction and dimensions. Those which are created by the interaction of the fields of the creation. One coming from the direction of the rotation interacts with another one from the same, but in a different strength, but in the same direction, which they both come from the source. These are what we call neutron stars, the most powerful structures, because they both come from the source. Then we have the structures which come from the source and one on the return. This creates structures like galaxies and universes. Then, when you have the dimensions where the interaction of the material returning from the source, returning back to the source, which creates planetary systems, which creates the stars. Once the world of creation understands these 3 different points of creations and how the time in the creation affects the rest of the universe and the unicos, then man becomes the true travelers of the universe. Because in a way you return back into, but you can get on the field strength of those which are going out to travel in the further distances of the universe, but come back in a slower way by the ones which return. In understanding this process, cosmologists in the future will decide the time, not the manifestation. The time of the creation of the neutron star, for example, is totally different than the rest. That's why we see them so dramatic. We see them with such a big, huge interactions with their environment because they come from the source. The center of the galaxies, the center of the universes, come from that essence of source, but of the stronger, bigger packages. When they interact with the feedback from the energies of the creation, from the spaces of the universe, they create what we call manifestation of the universe. The same with the galaxies, the same with all the solar systems. But we have to understand which one fits into what and which one creates the dimension and direction of the what we call manifestation of time, of existence, and manifestation of conformation. In the world of science, in the coming time, as we teach more, the scientists will understand if you tune your time to the time of the moon, creation of its essence, origin fields, you're there in a fraction of the second. Not more, not less. Because you tune your time, you find a common denominator. Because as the fields of the universe travel different dimensions and directions, they keep that essence, but at a certain point, the field of the time freezes, which means they confirm this is where I want to be and this is my time start. And the rest of the material they attract and they bring to confirm their manifestation as a planet, as a star, as a raindrop. All depends on the fields of the environment and how we change that position. You will understand this technology of the time will be used extensively in the space technologies of the future, especially if you colonize. You have to create a time which is accepted by the environment of the place and the position, and then you decide the manifestation, the position. If you can do that in your soul, you manifest as the animal of the planet. If you cannot manifest that time, that field is not of the position, you need a dome to replicate a condition between the two of the planet and where you came from that can allow you to exist in a dimension of the physicality you are used to. Then it goes back how we control ourselves. You'll find out in the system which we'll show on the 19th of July, the back end of it. In the near future, once our scientists understand the development of it, the full development of it, you can, while you have the headset on you, you can change into a dog. You can change into anything you like, because now we create a dimension of the position. It's you who decides the position. Up to now, you create the images of what you like with what we call 3D games that you follow, and you play these video games with the glasses. With this new system, we play the position. You can change to what you want to be. As we develop this in the near future, it will become part of embedded system in the body of the man. You don't need to carry a headphone that then when you come a mouse, it falls on the floor. You understand this. As our scientists understand more and more of this, we'll mass produce these systems in a way that you don't play computer game with glasses, but you play the game of life with the same structure, with the same knowledge, but this time it's reality of your own existence, the time, the place, and the position. I like to be a dog on the lap of my husband and see how he behaves. You don't need to put a headphone and land in the middle of God knows his arms, and you're a dog and you can't return. Darling, where are you? Woof, woof. It does not work. You have to understand we are on the research phase, we are on the development phase. Our scientists have to understand step by step of this work. And I'm sure in the coming months, with the collaboration between the Market Corporation and Chinese scientists and the military and the world of space and commercial, This technology will be spread like a wildfire once we start the process in the coming days and weeks. This is why we teach it, that you're prepared, you understand. And these teachings, in time, we will listen and people will understand more and more how to decide on the time. You change the time by position, but you cannot change that much of it. You can change some breathing parameters, you can change some food, you might change some fields around you, but the only thing will change your time is your emotion, because it brings the intellect of what to do with it, and it brings what we call the enlightenment, that what this emotion brings you into, what will be the outcome. In the coming weeks, in the coming months, as we endeavor to deepen knowledge of the man, as we teach more and more about time, and then there's another part, when we finish with the part of the teaching, which is the real part of the space technology and what we call transmutation time, then we start seeing the new dimensions. We will see a parallel world, we will see parallel dimensions, which we always knew or we've been told, but it was a dreamland, but becomes a reality. How do we see the universe? Would we see the galaxies the way they are? Would we see the environment we live in as it is? Or do we get the power to understand, to change the time, to see the parallel life with us, along with us? We are moving in the stone, but in reality we live on the planet Earth, because to dimensions above us in the energy fields, we are liquids, we are energy packs, we haven't solidified in the dimension of their life. Then it brings for you to understand there is life within the earth, there is life within every solid material, even planets. Some grow, some get educated, some evolve in the knowledge and live. They don't need to be on the surface to confirm their existence like man. They feel the emotion of inside. It's the same with the animals. Animals always feel things ahead of time because they live in a different time zone than the man. We see this now in the past few weeks happening in Yellowstone. Animals, all against their characters and characteristics, are moving. Go back to what we showed in China years ago in March of, I think, 2019, 2020, when a flock of what we call parasites, what we call pests, appeared on the plants, and we changed the environment and they moved, and there was nothing within 2 days. Why do the animals of Yellowstone are moving in a condition and opposite to the direction they ever immigrated? Because they feel the essence of the time within the earth. But the most beautiful thing is, if they collectively are feeling the move above, are we about to receive a meteorite? Have they changed their field? Have they understood the timing of that the place will be hit? Could be the energy from outside that it creates the diversion and confirmation within inside. It's interesting to find how and why suddenly millions and millions of animals are deserting the area they were brought up in, but they are moving in the opposite direction that they ever immigrated. If they were going to the west, now they're going to the east. Doesn't mean the west side is going to be demolished, and they're aware of the change of time. It's interesting to find out in the next few weeks and months why so many billions of animals, from the ants to the flies and to the bears and the rest, are moving out of nowhere. They are appearing in the places they've never seen before. They are paralyzing societies by hundreds of thousands of them literally moving across. Have they felt the time from the creation of emotion within the center of the planet? Or are we about to receive a meteorite from the space? They know the time, they are more sensitive to the creation of new time than we are. Preservation of life, creation of new environment, movement of. We see the same thing in the structure of the human race. The changes are appearing in a different time zone, not by knowledge, but in a way affected by these mobile phones you carry. You receive so much energy that you are changing the position as it comes from all directions. And we absorb 80% of our fields from our environment. This is the source which really gives us so much energy and the time, at this moment of time, that it brings through the energy given through the knowledge you call it, but in fact, other energies which comes with it as sound, that the soul of the man is evolving, is maturing, is in a way bring new understanding, new intellect, that it brings new enlightenment, that it brings new emotions, that then creates a new race of man, new time. When you look at these satellites, when you look at these mobile phones, when you understand the technology which has been explained to you from the beginning, that 80% of the energy we receive from the environment, we are receiving additional energies which have never been used to. And in past 20, 30 years, more and more, we just carry a mobile phone, continuous energy. Part of this is absorbed by us, is changed, it elevates. In a way, it brings a new time zone, it brings intellect, it brings new insight. We look at the life in the dimension of energy, in the dimension of evolution of the receiving energy from the outside than inside. In a way, if you look at it, there is another apple which you continuously eat every day. It's called mobile phone frequencies, mobile phone, the spectrum of the energies. It's not changing ourselves, it's feeding our soul. We are changing the dimension of what we call enlightenment, because it brings energies. Does not matter if it's on or off. We continuously receive, and we have found another source of energy. And if you understood this, this is why I keep on saying in the coming time we'll feed you through mobile phone. Because you already have connected into it to receive energy. Is additional fattening of the knowledge, not fattening the body of the man. The mobile phones, what you access, is another source of enlightenment, is another source of intellect, which brings in new emotions, and with it, we have tapped into a huge, what we call reservoir of direct energy, that even our soul is getting touched by it. Now you understand how our environment has changed. You watch the people who carry 2, 3, 4, 5 mobile phones with them, and look at their enlightenment, look at their understanding, look how they behave. Unless you're a drug trafficker, you're trying to connect to your clients, what you see people carry, it shows the amount of intellect, what they carry with them, how wide they are. Because they receive different spectrum. It's the same as what we say, people who speak 2 or 3 languages have a different insight to life. We don't see Alzheimer's with the people who at least are 2 or 3 what we call languages speaking. Very, very short, very, very less. Those who really speak their life, live their life of 2 languages. Unless they choose, Alzheimer's is slower, because they absorb energy from the knowledge, the soul of 2 different environments. And they create their own 3rd generation, what is known in the world of the science of today. First generation is the language they were born in. Second language is the society they live in. And they bring a mixture. A new generation of 3rd generations are the children of the men who are brought up between 2 cultures, 3 cultures. Now we bring those cultures with mobile phone. We just change. We have to look at how this will change the time of man. Go back to the teaching of the Keshe Foundation years and years ago. I said to you many times, with 2 mobile phones, I'll give you everything you need. Now you understand, because between the 2, you can create a time that you can move into. The unit we'll show in Vienna this weekend is the beginning of the cycle of these 2 times. It's set up to do. It's a structure to do. It brings enlightenment. It brings intellect. Interaction of the fields of the knowledge of the man. It brings understanding of it. This is why we have 2 half-brain. The unbalance, it creates a point of balance. It brings a new kind of intellect, judgment. Creates a new time. Each side of the brain has its own time. One goes to sleep, the other one is awake, one is functioning, one is half functioning. But when they come together, they create the man. Sleep, walking, resting, decision making. We are used to it, but we never understood it. And this is the biggest pitfall for man. Now it's time to bring the time in. The systems we developed will bring that combination of time, to bring the essence of time. We decide what time, what will be manifested. In today's research and development in our labs, we are testing this. We're just changing one parameter and we see different materials are produced in the same system. We create a new time because the time of a carbon is different than the time of hydrogen, is different than the time of gold and calcium. All we do, we create a new condition of time, nothing else. Flow of the fields. Try to understand this very carefully. Then you start understanding how to transmute. Those of you who are looking to create a child, then you understand how to create the time to create the children of Mitra. If you can do it with another entity in the universe, why can't you do it on this planet? Fine-tuning the time creates a new dimension for man to understand the world of creation. As I always said in the past few weeks, try to understand the teaching and you will see breakthrough in the science and technology. You see breakthrough in your own world of understanding of the what I call the time, the place, and the position and the position. Write to us in what you feel from now on till next week and the weeks beyond. What has changed in life? It's amazing what people notice. 1, 2 hours of listening to this session can change a life which you could not do. We are reaching you in a different way by changing the time in you that coincidentally it's happened the time we set and not you. Enlightenment to your own existence. We go for a break and we come back and we endeavor to teach you more. But don't forget, all of you in today's session are conditioned to our time from the second we started. Rick, would you take us to a break and we come back?
Okay, certainly. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. All right. This is the 599th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. This will be the halftime break. And I'll remind our attendees here in the Zoom that they can raise their virtual hands and ask a question of Mr. Keshe after our break here. And we can allow your microphone to open when your hand goes up. So consider that. Also, you can put questions in the Q&A or in the webinar chat or in the YouTube chat. Okay. Okay, we're back again at the 599th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here. And because it's the second half, Mr. Keshe, as I mentioned, will be able to answer questions. But first, he probably has some answers that he would like to offload to us here. So please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
I assume this is one way of putting it. Thank you very much. As you know, we are moving very fast with our developments, and we do expect big changes in a lot of things, and in a way now that we start controlling, in a way feeding the time in the background to all the teachings from last week and this week and on, whenever we keep the systems on, any of you listen to these teachings, as we see now with what we call confirmation of the reports from you knowledge seekers. You were listening during the listening and teaching, or you listen afterwards and you've seen the effect, confirms to us that the world is lasting and the energy is transferred. Let us know how you feel, how you change, how changes come to you, that in the process we will develop, prepare everything for the transmutation and transportation, and in due course for what it needs to be done. There's one announcement I have to make, that the teaching of the test of the 25th of July will be carried out round about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a reason for this. So on the 25th, the July session will be 2 p.m. and not the 10 or 9 o'clock we started. And it will be for about 3 or 4 hour session. We are still trying to sort out the structures and the technologies for what is needed. And all of you should receive, or should have had by 25th, if you ordered the what we call cosmic ray materials with you, that you can join in that session. That session will be very special for us. We're trying to create a condition of transmutation for you to feel and how it's done. And please, those of you who come in that session, don't complain to us somebody is snoring. You dream, you travel through your soul during your sleep. The guy is traveling his time. And a lot of you make a lot of noise. We cannot isolate you. If you want a private session for the same thing, please find yourself a couple of $100,000. We give you 1 or 2 or 3 hour sessions on your own, that we know what the story. But in the universe, there's always noises, communications, and everything else. So please get used to it. We live in a society full of movement of energy. If there are any questions, we'll try to answer. If I remember anything, I'll try to add into it during the teaching.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We don't have any hands up yet here. Again, I remind our attendees, you can raise your virtual hand and we can acknowledge that and open your microphone for you. We do have quite a few questions in the Q&A here.
Can I ask all of you knowledge seekers, remember how you felt from the beginning of the teaching till now, as we have switched our system for the second half? Let us know if you feel any different between the first and the second. Not just something to write, but emotionally, elevation and understanding, change in life. Let us know if you feel anything between the first and the second. Sorry about that. Carry on.
Okay, very good. Our questions in the Q&A start with George, who has a number of questions actually, and I'm not sure how many questions you will allow from George, but he does.
Is George from Switzerland?
I'm not sure. It just says George, so. Trying to see. Does mention for those questions that can't be answered, I will ask them next week. So let's start off. Question number 1 from George. Mr. Keshe, thank you for last week's reply to my question. Indeed, the problem is balancing the emotion. Hope you come up with something for this soon. I have also sent emails to info@keshe.foundation for the wellness department for this emotional problem, but got no reply so far. Maybe they are busy. I will wait more. 2, from your last week's teaching, I realized and admitted, like you said, of not allowing me the access to cosmic energy and to the balancing of emotion due to karma, both mine and inherited. 3, also the teaching brought up some moral questions that need to be answered. The first one would be, in this endless cycle of karma of killing and revenge, followed by more killing and so on, is emotion balancing and soul feeding with universal energies allowed? And what is their outcome on karma? Would this heal the killing karma or make it more bearable? By healing the killing karma, I understand healing the soul and emotion of all of God's beings that suffered, in some cases, millions of souls. So could millions of souls benefit in one instant from this healing?
Don't understand. What does this mean?
He's talking about this, the endless cycle of karma of killing and revenge. I think you were talking that last week.
And you see, I understand. I try to understand, to answer it in a different way, or maybe that's what the answer is. I try to explain something. We look at this, we call it the cycle of killing. This has been the habit of man. Every day we kill hundreds of thousands of, we slaughter lamb, sheep, cow, pig, and the rest of it. But we only consider it as the karma of a man when it comes man in front of it with 2 legs. Depends where we draw the line, ethics. One of the worst things, which is not known to humanity or known, but to, what do you call it, to a shame to put it up or whatever, Jews claim to be the most persecuted people, 5 or 6 million killed in the Holocaust and the rest of it. But one of the largest Holocausts in the shortest time ever happened in the history of man is killing of 15 million people in less than a few months. Done by British just after the First World War, just around the First World, Second World War. Starving the nation of Iran, they burned the food, they burned the corn, they burned the wheat, they burned everything in the nation to submit. 15 million Iranians died. There's on the internet, go and find it. And then the Jews claim they've been persecuted for 6 million by Hitler over 5 or 6 years. You see something I read you which is very touching. This is from President Xi of China to Iran Foreign Minister in past few days, which then there are political reasons behind it. President Xi, in the conversation with the Iran Foreign Minister, has simply explained something very interesting, which he says that the sanctions on Iran has shown how the nation grows when it becomes to look inside and become independent. And it shows how to make a nation. And this is how we look at this, what we call the karma of a killing, that 15 million doesn't count because it's done by the British. 1 or 2 million, 3 million Jews due to Holocaust is the biggest point in their lives. It depends how we promote it. We stand around, we watch, we go to supermarkets, we pick up chicken, lamb, bacon, fish, and we go home. And millions of us go to hundreds of thousands of supermarkets every day and do the same thing. What is the karma of killing? This is people who actually we call flesh. We walk through, we pick up wheat, we pick up lentils, we pick up parsley, tomatoes, and the rest, and we go home. We have shopped a murderous package. We are literally proud of ourselves walking out of the supermarket with all the vegetables, all the fruits, all the meat, and we're going home. We shopped bodies. For us, does not. We put a threshold. That doesn't go. We call our vegetarians. We just left the four-legged animals out on the fish. We don't look at what else we're killing in that trolley we are pushing down the road. We just change the level of our, what we call emotion, the level of our tolerance of murder, karma of killing, as you call it. Now the only thing is left for those of us who pass that level. Human race doesn't count. Doesn't matter how many you kill. We see this in the past 2 weeks. Netanyahu going to America, spending a week knowing his nation is gone. They have no electricity. They are starving for food. And this guy needs to stay alive, not to go to prison or not to be executed. A week planning to attack, to create a new war. Now we find another excuse for me to stay alive. And with it, bringing more killing. But what's the purpose of all this? As I said, 26,000 Israeli military security people have died in 10 days. Now, the statistics is coming out. We don't see leaders. We don't see a lot of operations getting cancelled by Israelis. Now, they're bringing the Americans, the British, the Germans, the Italians to do the job for them. We lost, you do it for us. The promise is the gold in the Iran National Reserve. Now we thresholded Muslims. Don't kill a Christian, don't kill a Jew. Now, the way we kill the cow and the fish and the potato plant and the rest, now Muslim has become into that threshold. Where is the next? We are the chosen ones. Yes, you are definitely chosen. The degradation and the things to come to these chosen ones, they choose that they wish they never were chosen. Because we have to understand, it's us as human being who decides on that threshold. If we will go down to change our breathing, to change our system, the way we are now start promoting, as you are part of it now in this session, we're changing the time for you to understand different emotions. Do we need to kill? This is the new threshold. There is no zero tolerance for killing. A plant, a tree, a fruit, a man, animal, and any creature in the universe. absolute zero. Zero tolerance for murder, whatever you call it. This is the process that you lot listening have already entered. How does your eating changes? How you change the habit? How much less you start eating in the next few weeks? Because you start learning a different dimension. Now learning, you're fed in the background. You're part of it at this moment. It's not the aura of killing, is aura of the threshold. And the best threshold is zero. And the best zero is when you learn to depend 100% on energy from the environment and not from the life of the environment. You are not, under no circumstances, given the half-life and the life of an animal or a creature. You are not to decide. The creation interaction of the field of the universe has to decide when an animal dies, not the man by slaughtering it. You don't decide the half-life. And when you get to that zero energy consumption of killing, then you become a true creatures of the universe. Till then, you're stuck with this village of murder of earth. It's not a calm of religious killing and this and that. This is how we have to change. To bring that tolerance. Your thoughts, I've taught you how to read, to take energy. I taught you how in the coming time, how we are doing now into communication system. Man has then through satellites and the rest of it, tap on, app, get the energy you don't need to kill. How many of you in the past few weeks and months written to us, you have literally reduced to 1 meal a day, you can't eat anymore because you have changed. The soul, the energy which was used emotionally is getting absorbed different way. It's the first steps. Gradually, as we've seen, we can replenish everything, but you cannot do everything at the same time. The society is not ready for it. The structure is not ready for it, and it creates mayhem. We've seen this in the present situation in the United States. They kicked all the immigrants out. They put everything else out. No one need to harvest the farms. Factories have come to stop. Nobody goes in the construction sites. The country is coming into a halt. And that halt will bring a cancer, it brings a heart attack, and the heart attack will come to attack the others trying to survive. And this is the same with the man. You have to go gradually through the process. If you heard upset for many years, you cannot become vegetarian overnight. You are 100 kilometers car going down the road, and you decide to put the brake on. The rest of the car is moving, and the rest of the cars on the motorway are moving near crash. The only way to do it is the process of transferring energy. The only way we can go into the point of zero is not by eating and getting the side effects of it, but by replacing it with the energy direct. In a way, feeding it by replacing the food as the energy levels which you receive, we are used to 80% of. And this takes time. This is the process of what is coming out, what is the process of technologies we are making available, but even the new satellite communication system, telephones, does not allow us to give you the full spectrum. So we see problems. This is why I just said to you, for you to understand a little bit more, we're supporting the Chinese quantum reactors, or what they call computers or system communication systems, because it's the plasma technology. And then with the plasma, we can feed the whole spectrum. There is no filters in the your communication system. Within a certain microwaves or frequencies, we can transfer, and the other system stops. This is why we introduced the headsets, that we can do what we like with the transfer of the energies and not with the bandwidth dictated. The bandwidth on your mobile phones is a matter of state bandwidth. Is not the universal bandwidth. And then we go back to zero. then the threshold of the killing does not become was plants, and then we found that the animals were good, we can eat them, we thresholded it. Now we thresholded it to humans killing each other, we thresholded it. Now become Muslims are thresholded. You can kill as much Palestinians as you like, they're Muslims. And when a few Jews were touched, is a Holocaust, the whole world, we are chosen. We've chosen something for you Jews that God cries for you. Forget about the man. Wait and see the will of God, what we decide. You wish you had never followed Moses, and that time is too late. My punishment for you is so harsh that even the dogs will cry for what is to come, let alone the man. You remember a few teachings ago, a couple of years ago, I said the time will come that the American navies will be there to collect Jews from Israel. This happened in past 4 weeks. A dinghy worth $10,000. Let alone the Navy ship. We carry out our wish with an iron fist, but you bring it to yourself. Does not matter, race, religion. Any nation goes into war from now on will be punished the same, by themselves. You choose. Then there is no murder, there is no need for killing. Now there is no bracket. You watch, now the Americans have brought in the Chinese. The Chinese in America get insulted and everything on their own, because now they brought the crisis for them, not their president with their rubbish tariffs and the rest of it. Channel of showing emotion of separation, what we can do. Then you understand the pause. Why should 11,000 or 15 million or one dog have a different emotion? There should be emotion of giving and giving life, not destroying. And then you understand the next step, But it takes time to change this ingrained level of killing and filtering. Then we'll see. Then we understand. Then we progress. And then we'll go to the other dimensions and direction. Any other question?
Well, that was George's point, was fourth point rather. How can someone escape this cycle of endless killing and karma? And you've pretty much laid that out, I guess. He gives an example. Let's take, for example, the Emperor Nero of Rome. Under his personal orders, millions of people were killed. Up to a point, he has no guilt because he did what he had to do. So what is his part of guilt? If Nero were to balance his emotion, feed his soul, heal his human body, what else must he do in order to balance the killing karma that is upon him?
Oh, the time will create a position. That is the time for it. You will understand. I've explained. The hell and heaven is not being in a fire or sitting in the honey pot. Is a position from the Creator. And that is, those who understand the work of the soul and energies understand how harsh that is. It's not a coldness and heat. It's the remoteness from the love of the Creator. Love hurts, and every soul needs that love. So it's totally irrelevant how and how many they do. It's just because they've chosen that position. We see it in the present world leaders. We see it in the people who think they are invincible. And this still happens, doesn't it? You don't need to be ruler of a country or be a taxi driver, or you be a dog. You choose through the position, our place of our soul in the half-lifetime of life of a man. How many did hit that? You have to look at the biggest, the most ruthless killers in the history of the man have been women. Women rulers have killed more than the men rulers historically, till the recent time. And we see this as part of the structure of how even this psychology exists. We know that the Chinese threw hundreds of thousands of addicts into the ocean to become food for the fish, because they couldn't hold on to the addicts which the British created, trying to get hold of Hong Kong. Now we see the same thing, planes making trips into the center of ocean and coming back empty, with going out with full bodies. They rechange the ships into aircrafts. And then the bodies are getting found in South Africa, on the coast of West Africa, and all over the world. They're literally floating. They become the docks. And then these are all handcuffed. American handcuffs on their head. But we don't hear any plane crashing. Man changes the standard, try to be fit, and the same behavior animals get together to behave the same. So we have to decide what they do. It's amazing. Go on what we call social media. They start putting out one by one pictures of the Israeli soldiers who danced on the graves, who create mayhem, wore the dress of the Palestinian women in their house when they were going to blow it up. They are face recognized, and now we see them. A few of them have no arms and legs, just the body. What danced on other people's pain have paid for. Just go on the social media, see hundreds of Israeli soldiers are appearing. They face recognize them before and after. The balance comes with their own behavior. And man will learn. Man will learn through different ways of doing it. Any other questions?
We have one more question from George here, so let's complete that. It says, Mr. Keshe, it's a different topic. Mr. Keshe, last week you talked about sun exposure and sunglasses. But what should people do that work outdoors, like installing shiny metal sheeting roofs, and do fishing or driving where the sunbeams are focused on the retina, and in most cases lead to permanent retina damage?
You have to understand, when we talk about these, is those which wear sunglasses for show, I call it. You got to understand, if you got eye problem, sometimes sunglasses are recommended by doctors to bring back the balance. But again, you have to be wise in how you're using it. A lot of us have this eye operation, cataract. A lot of people, if you start suffering from cataract, which changes the balance of the salinity of the liquid in the eye in a way, it's a damage to the lens. It's the cloudiness of the lens in a way, and they call it cataract. If you have very good opticians, they understand the process, they don't take you for operation. Operation makes money. Scientists who understand the work of the change of the salinity and the bandwidth of the eye, they recommend you to wear black sunglasses and walk in the sun. And you see the results more or less within days. But you have to wear it in a certain way that you don't need the operation. Cataracts, 90% of the cataracts can be resolved with the sunglasses. But in a certain period of the day, in certain amounts per day or per week, not all the time. You are in the exposure of the light, but you want to cover it up, go to Korea, walk on the streets of Korea and see how Korean women walk outside. You call the Arabs wearing burqa, whatever, the Korean women, because the white skin is much loved in Korea, they come out worse than the camels. The hats, the clothing, they're ready for a war. If you look at the warriors of 200 years ago, they used to put all the balaclava and the helmets and the armors. They come out that way. When I was in Korea, I was shocked. How come these people even walk in the heat of the summer? Wear appropriate things, but don't block the light into the eye of the man. And if you do, for a certain time, if you're fishing, you're not fishing at night when you're asleep, you're not fishing when you're walking, shopping down the road with your wife. You have that problem for a short time, yes, but when you choose it to be there, I wake up, it's fashion now, to walk with it, you pay for it. Everything has a time, place, and position. If you have got cataract, try dark, black, what you call sunglasses. Not the ones which shine different colors, the black ones. And then start seeing the change. You don't need most of the time operations. Competent opticians do that for you. And if you ask someone, says, oh, we never heard of it, you try it, you understand, you see it. Do I need to suffer an operation, or I can adjust it, especially during the winter time, during the winter light. You still wear sunglasses, people laugh at you, who gives a care? Is the dimension of the light which changes within the retina, within the back of the eye, and the solution within the eye, which clears up the, what I call the muck on the glands. Do I need an operation, or is it just profitable to the doctor? Some 10-15% cannot be done, but try. If somebody told you need a cataract, go to an optician and ask them, can I use, and you monitor my eye, and then you see the result. You have to understand what to use it, where you use it. You're not all the time on the fish pond fishing. Any other question?
Okay, and the Q&A from Guillaume says, good morning, Rick, Mr. Keshe. Does transmutation have different levels? Because we are not all clean and knowledgeable to be ready to do it.
Yeah, it's good. It's like learning how to walk. And then you run, and then you jump. You have to understand one of the biggest problems with transmutation is, we've seen it with all the knowledge seekers. Oh, I dreamt I went there. Oh, I had a dream. Oh, when I was using the headphone, I saw this and that. Hello, what didn't you do before it? This is part of transmutation. Gaining self-confidence in what I can do. But because you don't have it, we try sometimes, we'll be going there together or whatever, trying to give you a direction to learn. It's like a teacher sitting next to you in the driving seat. You want to go straight, turn right, because you learn how to turn the setting and find the distance from the curve when you turn. And this is what we do with the transmutation, with the captains we have. At the beginning, we let them choose a captain, and then we let it free, and then we even control the captains in a way, and we see who goes where. And the process again, end of this month. Sometimes you have to learn. Once you start, as I said, the threshold of the murder now, Muslims can be murdered. There's no problem with all the animals. Once you start understanding, there's no dream. It's me who decides. Then you move into the next step of controlling, understanding, and then you don't need to get out to get a taxi and call the Uber, because you call the soul on you and there. It's your confidence and your intellect. It brings enlightenment. Any other question?
Okay, let's go to Carlos has a question regarding the headphones and the and electromagnetic radiation. Says, can two electromagnetic radiations that are identical from a physical measurement point of view, frequency, amplitude, etc., also carry different plasma fields information?
Yes, yes.
And he says, I ask this because I'm trying to understand how electromagnetic radiation reaching headphones can carry, quote, something else. Can you talk more about it?
It's the spectrum. In the matter said, we call it isotopes. You have to understand that it's very simple. If you understand the world of material, every voice, every noise is created by movement of especially what we call now electronics and communication system, by interaction of fields, interaction of materials. Doesn't come from nowhere. 0, 1 has a certain frequency, and every zero in a million zeros in the communication line is not the same as the other, because it's created from different movement of electrons, and electrons are not in the same position at the same time with the same energy. And that energy they absorb to regain the position for the next zero. And this is what we have to understand. It's very much when they say you cannot find two snowflakes exactly the same, but sometimes you find one. But it's more or less the same principle. The simple way I would put it is, when you produce an X-ray, you beam to a certain point, and that point, once you hit the electron, is moved on, is released energy, and the next electron takes its place. So the two electrons are not the same. And this is the principle of, yes, the headphones and magnetic field waves are always different, slightly different, even though the machine shows the same thing. But energy-wise, understanding the principle of it, there are what are called many, many isotopes in billions of the same wavelength. Any other question?
Okay, you see here from Wolfgang, what did the Germans do wrong to experience the two wars, World War I and World War II, and more of these cruelties? Was it their earlier behavior in their history and also nowadays?
Germany now has entered the Third World War, being part of now they used to be alone at this time. They're with Italians and the French, and they are going through the same phase. You do not know. I'll explain to you as we watch the military and political movement in Germany. It's true. It's what I call, Germans are a very special race in a way. Austro-Germans come the same, coming from the Hungarians next to them. It's the way the proudness to be independent, and this independent and culture of independency to be allows those who call themselves leaders to abuse them. Because now we are independent, then they create that condition and that emotion of now we are superior because we are independent. We see that now, especially in the Chinese regime. We are tinkling on a very, very dangerous path in reaching economical, social, and military power. We are at the verge of it. Once these people feel invincible, then the problem starts because we have everything ourselves. And this comes from the German culture. As I said, if you shake hands with the Austrian, you know the difference between Austrian and the German. And if you shake hands with a Pakistani guy, you know you're in for a well-deserved, what I call, treat. And the Germans have that behavior that they go for perfection, and the perfection brings independence because nobody else can do it. And then if you find a leader who can sing the right tune for the ones who want to get that perfection, the disenchanted one become the followers of the others, and that's what it is. You get these conditions, revolutions, wars, and the rest of it. And once it starts, they rule through threats and murder. And we've seen Second World War, we've seen Genghis Khan, we've seen it with the regime change in many, many countries. We call it the pride, but with Germany, the perfection brings independence, and that some people, you have an elite of 10% of the nation literally doing it, and the other ones cannot reach it, so you're a good excuse to trap and what do you call it, mobilize. And both German wars have gone through that. I explained this before. Germans and Austrian and partially Hungarians, perfection in everything creates a lot of problem for them as well. And for the others who cannot be as perfect as, and then they see themselves as separate, and then that separation creates what we call racism and nationalism. But the guy who decides on top how to do it. We've seen this with Germany. You look at Germany before 2 wars, how some elites or scientists or whatever, industrialists created a lot of wealth. And the Jews couldn't do it. Jews were useless in creating trades, or what they call it, industry. The most useless people ever in the world creating industry are Jews. So they went into brothel, prostitution, and money laundering and money lending. And Germans were quite aware of this, and they wanted to bring the perfection of 10%. So the Jews became a target, and the rest went for it. That's how this nation has been. If you look at Israel, the same situation. It's just a bunch of prostitutes building a nation. But this time they're prostituting knowledge of the country. They're getting money from EU to build the poisons to kill the others, and then selling it to the others. Nothing has changed. It's just changed the nation and plugged themselves to one place. And the elite of Germany, who were industrialists, bringing the nation to high levels, they used the Jews and the ones who couldn't do it, and used the wealth of the rich, and you get the war. And it just needs one man to know how to trigger it. And this is the power of the structure. We see that in the Iranian Revolution. We see that in most of the big industrial revolutions. Iran before the Shah regime. 5% were the intellect had the education, and they were taking the country very fast forward, and 95% were, 60% were totally illiterate. And they couldn't see that. So the ones who knew how to trigger it, British, triggered the religion. And we see what happened. Anybody could have been the leader. The ground is when you get a gap in the society that people abuse. And then you create cult out of it because you know how to do it. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. From Evan Seek from the Brazilian community. Mr. Keshe, thank you for sharing your valuable knowledge. In one of your teachings, you said that it's possible to create life through the interaction of magnetic and gravitational fields without the need for sex, like the Virgin Mary. Would this only be possible for souls who have attained enlightenment?
No, it's a physical system. Life, we call it life, or you call it a child. If you want to create a child, that's a different dimension. But if you create life, you can do it through interaction of fields. I've done that. I've said many times, I have a box full of them. We sometimes hear, we're discussing this with our research team yesterday, we hear noises when we run multiple systems. They talk into each other. We heard this very clearly in communication when we did the flight test with hundreds of systems running in Sanya in China in 2019. It is parallel, it can be done, and it is very easy to do. You can create life. Creation of life is very easy. It's just what emotion you put into it. How do we manipulate that? And that's the key. And as I said with you in the other trials with us, that we stopped your addiction. So we touch your emotion. We know how to create you to be happy, as we are doing today. And our knowledge has reached the point of even creating some emotions. So you can do. It doesn't need a man and a woman. Fields of the universe creates the child of the stars. Has a heartbeat. Decides its destiny and creates its own environment. And has emotion. So it's not what I call miracle is understanding the process. If you can create a field of the amino acid, create a field of emotion, create a field of place and position, you can create a child with emotion. It's as easy as ABC once you understand it. You get the emotion of the mother, you get the DNA fingerprint of the mother, you get the DNA fingerprint of the father, you get the emotion and put them together in a system, feed it together, and they create it. We are doing this today. There are tests going on in our labs. Actually, today, this morning, we are changing position and we're changing certain amount of emotion, and we're producing different lives and materials. It's not, you don't need to be genius to do it, if you understand the process. Any other question?
We have a couple of hands up here. One of them is from Educational Flight 006. I keep trying to promote them to panelists, but
these are the Chinese, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm trying to promote to panelists, but they're not accepting it somehow. So
yeah, maybe he's been rejected before. That's why they can't come up. But these are the Chinese allocations when they come for teachings for their sessions. These numbers were created for that purpose.
And let's see here. Before we get to Dean, I'd like to read the testimonial from Monica in our webinar chat here. It says, during the recording last week, I felt my kidneys, which I'm having trouble with, ache at first and then become warm. I felt as if I were in my own environment where nothing outside could touch me. I felt completely at peace and deeply mindful of my inner self. The following days brought changes to my way of approaching life and gave me a new understanding of the teachings, brought changes to my liver, diaphragm, head, stomach, and spine. My emotions became more stable. Today, while listening, I became calm and felt a great need to properly serve the physical soul. To release such a wish, and tears welled up. I felt pleasant changes in my bladder, my liver, my thoughts stopped, and I felt emotionally satisfied. After turning off the system, I felt a huge difference in how the workshop is being received in my body. Thank you so much for your work, Mr. Keshe.
We have many people in the past week reporting these things to us. And this is how the life will be. This is how we make a peaceful man of life, man of its life. We're changing the pains and changing the conditions. Many people have had, quite a few people writing. So the most interesting part for us was those who listened to the recording the night after or the day after, which the knowledge transferred through.
There's a question about that from Ike. Is there a difference if we joined in late today and if we listen later outside of this live recording?
So, the people who, number of people who tell us about they listened the night, at the night they were not present and they listened to the recordings the day after, whatever, seems they report the same kind of changes. But the interesting is, if you listen to it 2 or 3 times, what happens? And is it the effect of? And this is what we are searching for. We see the parts of today's session are coming in one after another, and it's very amazing. It's very different because we change the combination. And very interesting how you have taken position. And we've done this. We know exactly why this is happening. It's targeted for the soul and the physicality, and the soul of physicality is taking the brunt of it. Changes will come in physical dimension. Let me join, and then I explain to you what it is. I explain to you exactly how we see it today, up to now, and you remember the picture of last week because the combination this week is different. We set out and to feed from the soul into the soul of physicality, or actually should feed the physicality, and in between the soul of physicality gets hammered with it, which means has to show some reaction. And I open this for you to see, and then you understand, you remember the picture of last week. And this week we set out to change a lot of emotions, a lot of other things. And
recording in progress.
And you have a look, remember the last week, and you see how much we control things. And then hopefully by the end of the time, we'll have the new ones in. You see, this is how your soul sits now after saturation. You see the soul, how bright it is feeding, because that's where you're feeding from. We know what you're feeding you. And you see the soul of the physicality, and the physicality is very little. The combination was to feed your soul, or feed from your soul to the soul of physicality. And we, as I said, what you get from outside, what it comes from inside, and then the hammer, you get a new, this is your soul of physicality. And then you see the combination. And if you look at the same position, how much is it strengthened? Because we targeted feeding the soul. With our system we can. And you see the strength of it, how it changes. This is the different phase, and you see the way. This allows us to, in the future, for psychological reasons, to target how we set our systems, to strengthen the soul and let the soul of physicality take its place. And it's very, very interesting how we can dominate and change positions in what you call the strength of the system. I'll show you exactly what it is. Just trying to establish something from the center in the lab as they are monitoring what's happening. Okay, now I want to explain to you something on the pictures you've seen. You see this picture? This is important to us. This is what we are concentrating on today, because physicality will show later on. You see the change in the soul area. This is at 10:40, 10:45, after you lot been added 45 minutes. And this is before. So we can touch the soul. We know what material we use, we know the way we use it, and the way it has to be done. And interesting is now, this is your latest image, because we changed the combination. We have put your souls into dimensional change, which is now going through. And have a look what we've done with you and what you're receiving now. I have to come out and go back in again. That you see the latest by change of system. This is how it started. This is where you are. And in half session, we changed. Have a look. So we took the influence on the soul away. And see what happens. 2 halves, 2 separation, trying to sort out to get feed energy from the center or get energy from outside. And we look at the last one at the end. We have developed a technology, we can directly touch the soul of the man. And with that, we can transmute the man. We don't need you to decide, we can make a decision. And this is a clear example of it today. So, have we got the right schedule? And now, as we change the dimension of physicality, you lot are changing drastically. Those of you who are in it, you are playing with it, and see what has happened to you lot in the past 10 to 15 minutes since we changed the position. Because it matters. It explains a lot about dimension of the how we can feed you in the future, how we can bring the change. And the latest pictures coming up, you can see how your own behavior go in sequence, that we all see where we all stand collectively. And as I said, monitor these three regions. And if you notice, you always have a feeding line. And just watch yourself. You're getting fed. This is a structure. Now you see the change, because we stop feeding the soul. Now physicality is dominating because we stop feeding you from outside, from the environment. And you see how flatlined you become. Totally physical. I wonder, what are you dreaming of, or what are you traveling in the dimension of soul of? Any other question?
Okay, let's address hand up with
Very interesting is, once we develop this technology fully and position it in satellites, position it in what we call plasmatic satellites, using the new outreach with the Chinese, with whatever they call it. Do you think any man will kill anymore when we can feed the soul? The problem or the changes in the past, when there were, as I said many times, when there was a prophet, it was just a village and the people who went to see them. Now we don't need to see. We can reach through satellite, even the cows, the sheep, and the lamb, and the rest of it. They receive it. As you will listen as a recording, it still get the same effect. And what they call the quantum technology, which is a plasma technology, change to quantum, is what is going to be. As I said to the Chinese military, you have a riot, don't worry about it, we just play music. And in that music, we transfer the emotion of peace. Voila, people just walk out, they can't even remember why they came for. If you want to show force, you put horses and gunmen to kill. But if you want to show your power, you just play the music of love, and with the right combination of elevation of the soul, that's it. People can't even remember what they came for.
Mr. Keshe, Dean here. May I ask a question, please?
Hey, Dean, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. Keshe. How are you? Good morning to you.
Are we seeing you on Saturday?
On Saturday, I've joined the online one at the moment
Lazy
for
one.
reasons. So, yeah, I will be engaged and be present, that's for sure. Mr. Keshe, thank you for your beautiful teaching again today. I listened to part of it. Right, so I explained my situation. Obviously, on a soul level, I'm experiencing many things. And I woke up late today and I was sleeping and I don't remember the dream whatsoever. And then I come in and I have to re-listen to some of it as you're speaking. So I'm going back in time on a recording and trying to listen to something and then trying to come back into the present where you're speaking about it in real time. You mentioned something about new manifestations and how they will appear on planet Earth. That was one of the things I picked up upon. And the reason I speak about this is because I've noticed myself, my physicality is like a bit like a child, a naughty child that you see the mothers and fathers dragging this child along the street or along the, somewhere in a grocery store or something, and they're screaming and shouting. I think my physicality is a little bit like this, where it's being positioned by the soul, but it's it's not happy
Yeah, I
sometimes.
can see it. If you see on the line on the screen, it's long, it's not dotted.
Yeah,
So it
it's
has a lot of battles.
a lot of battles. Yeah, many things going on. And I know it's a position in time, and if I feel like it's, I'm no one's different. We're all the same, but I feel it's like a positioning for humanity where we're going through this very traumatic period of being led to a position, and I thank you for that, and I feel it in my physicality, and I know the soul is guiding me, and yeah, I'm still struggling with it from time to time. So this emotional balancing that we will be going through and experiencing, and I think we're already experiencing it, and I really understand now when you say you have to do it bit by bit, because if you do it too quickly, you can't handle it, and I've come to realize that much. It's very interesting, that very interesting. So I don't know if there's a question there or not, Mr. Keshe.
No, I don't know. It's just you expressing your emotions, what you feel.
Yeah, I think so.
But the thing is, it's not coincidental. When we start moving, you don't need to. The dogs don't have a headphones and a mobile phone to listen to. It's the knowledge from the soul which transfers. But it needs to be kept on going and go. And I'm really, really looking forward with the work with the Chinese military in the space in the next few months. How we can bring these quantum technologies into what you call cosmic ray technologies that we can transfer. The biggest problem for humanity is the American nation at the moment, and the mindset that to create war, to pretend to create peace, for it to sell, to create finances. In the next few weeks, Keshe Foundation will announce a huge change in the financial structure. But slowly we're getting there. I hope the team in the background is ready for the day they promised they're going to release it. And then we take the next step. You got to understand, you can't change just a human if you don't change the lions and the dogs. The humans look after the dog and the dog eat them. So we have to change the whole spectrum, and the change will come in the different ways. Let's see.
Yeah,
How
thank you, Mr. Keshe. Well, the situation, you were spoken about many things today, and like the situation with all the killings that have taken position through intention, and I felt it for a long, long time with like the British and what they've done as a nation. But it's not the nation of the people that have to balance for it. It's a few that are creating the mayhem, and it's the souls that have to balance for this. And that's sometimes very, difficult to, establish that connection so that you can, try to give enough that you can change the reality of, what we're experiencing right now, going back over, into a position of the past that we shouldn't go back to. The position is right now in this moment. So it's very difficult sometimes to emotionally balance yourself. And I think this is where the systems that you've built, the foundation are built, are going to be really relevant, because you can't do it yourself. Sometimes you need this whatever you want to call it. I'm not really into quantum, but support. So you need this support. You need this, support system to balance the emotions. And this is for some people that are very, so say, spiritual or awake or whatever it is. And then others that are not, they're totally, they don't feel this at all. And I felt both sides of it now. And I starting to understand why some people, when you say you've experienced something and they say, well, what are you talking about? It doesn't exist. It's because they haven't experienced it, but in the physical form, but their soul is guiding them to a position. And we just have to be patient, which you have an immense amount of patience. I don't know how you do it, but you do. So thank you for that. System assist, someone says.
You see, South being a British, we're talking about changing the level of, what do you call it, the killing. Last week or the week before, when a French president was with the British Parliament, or British government, he came out with something which was past a lot of people's understanding, but it was very amazing how they changed the position. Up to that time, French refused to condemn the genocide in Gaza. And for the first time, French president said it's not acceptable. It has to change. People say, oh, why did he change? Because he brought what they wanted out of the events of everything else. But the French are one of the biggest suppliers of arms, aircrafts, defense, in the present cycle of war or attack on Iran. Because Gaza can't give them anything. If we support Gaza, then we can attack Iran to get the uranium we need. And as a advisor, as a what they call it, suggest, Iran will change position if the Iranian leadership listens. And then we don't need to have the French now killing Iranians is easy because it's a target, because Gaza are even the Muslim, but there are different sects of Muslims. Well, now we go because we get our uranium, because the Africans don't give us any more uranium. I have proposed to the Iranian leadership in the past few hours, the attack on Iran and the war on Iran is for Iran nuclear. We changed position. I put this to Iran some time ago. Now we make it public. It depends what Ayatollah Khamenei decides. But as a what do you call, spokesman for the Iranian side, I put a proposal to the Americans and the French and the Germans, and that we don't need to have this. Let's see what's the next excuse. We have tons of enriched materials, around 20%. We have half a ton of enriched 60%. They don't want us to go nuclear weapon. Iran, as of today, will offer its nuclear material to French nuclear industry as they lost their sources in Africa. We prefer, at 20%, we become the supplier of enriched uranium for all the power stations, even the Americans. Which means we keep the integrity of science and technology, we keep our right to prefer. But we become supplier in the chain where the Africans have stopped to the French and the Germans. This is the reason the Germans and the French are on top of Iran. 160 aircrafts have been supplied by 3 nations to attack Iran in the next cycle. You thought we don't know French and the Germans. We got a full operation watch. So now, as of today, Iran stands as a supplier of the fuel. We are prepared to dilute our 60% enriched uranium to fuel for your nuclear reactors, for your energy industry. We become, instead of you going to Africa, bringing in and then recycling it and then proliferate, we do it for you. We've done it and we are prepared to reduce our stockpile. What's the next reason? I have asked the Iranian leadership to announce, unless they want to play a different game, this we are prepared to market cooperation of the United States, which means the Americans get some benefit from taxation of it. We feed the lions. Let's see how they kill each other. I made a decision, I made a proposal to the President and Ayatollah Khamenei yesterday. The biggest problem for us is they don't want us to become nuclear. French have changed position from Gaza is a crime, but Iran is a live animal. Then we get the uranium mine in Hamadan. We don't need to. You haven't touched our centrifuge. Our centrifuges are still intact, 90% of it. So we become the supplier to your shortfall. You don't need to proliferate. You don't need to go through the damages of possible leakage. We use the One Belt, One Road Silk Line, the way Chinese are feeding material from China on the road to Western Europe to transfer our nuclear materials as a fuel rods for your nuclear power stations. What's the problem now? You didn't want us to reach. We don't trust the Russians to give our materials to deposit. We become the seller of our own goods. And let's see if the French and the Germans and the Americans object to this. Then there's a different criterion, change of regime, which for that we have another solution. So what was delayed on Tuesday, Wednesday, where they were supposed to attack Iran with a lot of aircrafts, 80% of it supplied by the British, the French and the Germans, now is in hang. The excuse is Iran having a nuclear or preparing nuclear material. Yes, we do. We done to 60%. We got some 80, 90%. We are prepared openly. We don't accept IAEA. IAEA is irrelevant, as it's a Mossad's nest built for them. We accept to sell our nuclear material as fuel rods to any nation which has got a peaceful civilian nuclear technology for the power generation. We change position from what they try to get to be a devil in nuclear, trying nuclear material, to a supplier of the material to all the, even American power stations. Because the rods are more or less the same, you just need some adjustments for different reactors. And so, what's the problem with that? I'm waiting for Ayatollah Khamenei to confirm the offer and the Iranian president. Unless there's a hidden agenda, this is a solution that solves the problem. And we allow the Chinese and the Russians to monitor, not the IAEA. We don't trust IAEA. And position is solved. Let's see if now the French president changes his position. Gaza was a crime now, because now they found the uranium source. Now Iran is no crime because it becomes our supplier. The French get the material, the French nuclear power stations runs, the German nuclear power stations runs, and the Italians still have some support because they're not nuclear, they have one which is dangling in the middle somewhere. And the American gets the benefit of the income from the trade to market cooperation. The Chinese get the railway track, and the Russians still get their power stations that are running with Iran. What's an excuse? I'm waiting for the Iranian government to announce it, if they're really mindset to go through the, what we call, the process. Then we see if we are still on the path of peace. We have tons of 20% material prepared for the past years, and we still got our centrifuges intact. As I said to the readers yesterday, we don't even need the centrifuge with the new materials we are producing with the systems. We don't even need to mine. Mine in the space and bring it. We are producing materials we don't even know what we are producing. That's just combination of events creating so much cosmic material. Most probably we have produced materials man has never seen. This is changing a parameter in a literally, very interesting. I just received the latest image. This is let me show you something which is very interesting. This is in the past 3-4 hours. We're not talking hours ago. We changed a parameter for a specific reason. We were trying to see actually how changing parameter will bring us what we need. And interesting is what I'm going to show you in a sequence of events. You lot getting information to the last seconds, literally last seconds. I'll show you something that you can see. We changing parameter in the emotional side and the rest of it. We now can dictate and produce materials at will in a very specific way. Oh, this is nice. You lots are really, really going for it. Let me see. I'm going to give you some pictures, which is literally past 24 hours on the research center with the development of materials.
Recording in progress.
Let me share with you, then you understand. I have to go in the sequence that shows material. This is what we are producing with one combination of system using static reactor interaction. Then we decided to see not to produce another corner which we did not produce. We changed the system, and look what we got this morning. We can dictate what we want to produce. There was nothing there before. And we changed certain parameters. We can produce plutonium as we wish. In a contract signed with the Chinese officials, and then they had to change it because they found out we were leaked too much information and caused a problem internally. We know what it caused them. 400 sites in China will be allocated to produce ton of gold a year. That China does not need to depend on outside for industrial development using Keshe Foundation technology. If we can produce gold in 400 locations, which the Chinese have started, signed agreements, we have the agreements, it's not the talk signed and sealed. Why can't the rest of the world accept plutonium, uranium, silver, or any other material which brings industrial evolution and easy for the others to live? We can deliver plutonium tons of the time as long as it brings peace. And you can see even the specks of solid material you see in the middle. Do we need to kill? Do we need the wars? Or do we change phase? Gaza now is a crime because now we can attack Iran and get the plutonium what we need. We don't need to. It's an official announcement of the Iranian government on behalf of the nation. We are prepared to sell our uranium pile as a fuel only to for industrial use in power stations to the west. We become supplier. And we have no intention of proliferation to nuclear weapon. As we can produce now uranium as we need, we don't need even the centrifuge, it's too costly.
Mr. Keshe, you've just described a way to really change the conditions on planet Earth using all these materials. So why does man not accept, the possibility of receiving everything they need?
It is just behavior of man. It's a very, very strange. But he died, he passed away. Good friend of mine. He used to be the Minister of Oil. And we used to work in one of the Russian satellite countries very deeply with them, with the president and them. Then he became a prime minister and Minister of Oil. When we used to come out of the building, we used to go for lunch quite often, or late at night, we used to go out somewhere for dinner in hidden restaurants in the city. There were always 9 cars parked outside in the batches of 3. And there was always 2 the same, 1 different. So you had 6 cars of the same with 3 cars of different. And we had a choice to sit in any of the 2. And that section, that division of 3 will be given the address where to go for dinner or for lunch. When we arrived at the destination and when we signaled that we are ready to leave, the other 2 which were parked in the original place were told where to come to collect. They arrive at that point, and then again you choose maybe the same squad you came with, or you change to another squad, and it was the pattern for protection of the minister. And we sometimes in these dinners we met with the president, we had with the family, we just sit down and talk because they say suddenly meet because we had more connection just what we were. And one day at the dinner I said to the minister, I prefer my life before I know you lot. He said, we prefer our life as well, the same, we should go back. The wife of the president said, do you know something? This is hell. But we have to do it to stay alive, to change the nation. And it's taken a lot of work for these people. When they're human, they sit with you at the table. And when we meet them in their offices as president, as vice, as a ministers and the rest of it. They change because the power and the yes sirs, the fleet of cars, the secrecy, the bribes, it gives them sense of invincible. And I've seen that with many people. Many people. One of the reasons we ran into problem in Ghana was the same. When the president of Ghana was elected, when I was there, I was in the garden of his private house. Humble man. He went to the parliament, and as he became a president, came back a different animal. And we saw all the problems. They changed. I was in his garden. I was in his private house. We dealt with a man. We got back an animal, and they never changed, and we saw the rest of the problems. Because we made agreements with the previous governments when we moved in with CIA into Ghana. Greed, bribery. And I met his wife 2 or 3 times in her private office with 2 people present. She wasn't a woman we knew before. People change. We've seen that with the present American structure. Power. And that has a special wavelength, and we handle that in time. It's a card of emotion. And that can be handled. That's very easy to handle. Extremely easy to handle.
Mr. Keshe, thank you for all these wonderful answers. So, may I ask just one more question, please? So where does this all lead? So if knowing, from an atom to a universe, so from the smallest to the largest, and we're all present and in this sphere, this little viewpoint of planet Earth. And so where does it lead if we don't take, responsibility for, we can be greedy and we can take everything we need. And we only see, our small little garden. And we just nurture it and water just this one garden. But the rest then just falls apart. So eventually your own garden will fall apart. And when do we get to the position where we understand that if a meteorite or anything else takes a position, then you have nothing to fight for anyway? So when do we start to really understand what's, the true position of the creation?
We always understood, but we tried to deny it because it was to our benefit. You see, I use this term very loosely, but in effect, it has very deep meaning. They call it genetic modification. We changed our gene, we modified it to become more aggressive, more killing, and the rest of it. To change the modification, to cleanse the system in a way back to what it was, is the purpose of our work. That's why we are here. That's the whole purpose of under cover of the Keshe Foundation. Gradually, slowly, but collectively, from the ant to the man. Complete change. And how we see, how we perceive this. And it's interesting how things take shape. and how we can influence the emotion and then change the man. And that's all it needs to be. It has to be changed from the root, from the worm to the man. And everything in between. And this is the job which, thanks to man's communication systems of today, will be doing very easily, much easier than before. Much, much easier than before. Now we can transfer plasmatic fields the way we're doing it now. It's, I just received how things have changed since you started talking. We are monitoring every minute of it. How things create gaps and emotion changes in the solar physicality. Because we're getting fed very continuously with the information, I'll show you a few things that you can see. How you interact with or the knowledge interacts with the soul of knowledge seekers online. Watch this. This is from the time you came in, because you raised a different question. And I explain to you later on what this means. This is the time before you come in and at the present time. Watch this. And this is the point where you came in and you talk. You see the line, and you see, now look at it here. This is the point you came in. And you see the way it was. And how you bring that change in emotion. Separation of lines. This explains a lot to us in actually the process. Unifying, understanding. And you see the physicality has changed from this position to a vertical position. Knowledge needs to be transferred, but needs to be understood when it's transferred. Then it can do a lot of good for man. And how our thoughts affects everything we do. And when you look at the bigger picture, you see how everything sits with us and how psychologically we interact with each other. Then we can change things. I think one of the best things happened to us at this cycle of time is the plasma technology which Chinese are promoting very rapidly, and they say there is a need for a new definition of physics. We already defined it, they're just copying it. Most of you knowledge seekers know who I'm talking about in China. There was a guy who used to do direct translation of my teaching for years. He collaborated with a guy which they took the technology of the plasma technology, they put a name of quantum on it that they don't know, but the Chinese military found out that he's just copying the work of the Keshe Foundation. He was arrested at a traffic light in China on Saturday night. And the guy who was translating and feeding him was on the run and everything else. But they start using this word not to connect the Keshe Foundation as a quantum, and it's more or less all the work of the Keshe Foundation on a daily basis. The Chinese scientists sit on these teachings like a hawk, the same as to the Iranians and the Americans. And the outcome is, the only people who are going to lose is the Europeans because of the cheat and lie of the Belgium king and what they created. They've fallen themselves in that pit. Then they're going to be literally hammered by it in the time to come. They become servants, more or less. And as we've seen, gradually whole thing will go out to this mystery. But the process of knowledge will transfer through the soul and the enlightenment. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, thank you very much for taking my question.
Welcome.
And I really look forward to your lecture and being present.
I don't think you learn much. It's just for the people who doesn't know the technology. I think your knowledge seekers know most of it, all of it, but be disclosed.
Yeah, it's still a beautiful to be present, Mr. Keshe. Thank you so much for all you do.
Very much.
Really.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Any other question?
Okay, well, Hassan mentions in the chat here, tonight will be my 12th day without food. I started 4 days before last week's Knowledge Seekers Workshop after listening to the series of teachings about time made by Ed. I am on 200 milliliters of tea a day and 1 liter of water, very hot here. But I'm feeling my water consumption is dropping slowly. Thank you for all the beautiful work.
I hope you understand how to absorb energy that you don't need to take water. We get a lot of things like this. People are changing. But the funny thing is the families of these people put pressure on them because they don't understand it. And they become the joke or a point of hate. But it's just to be resilient to understand this is a change. We decide for ourselves. Every man stands alone on his own to decide. We've seen one of our beautiful knowledge seekers in Iran put in the mental institute because they're trying to do all sorts of things with him. But we've seen this across knowledge seekers. You have to decide and choose the path of not conflict, but trying to enlighten. We call it a day.
Sure, yes, we've gone nearly 3 hours here, so if any remaining questions can be carried over to next week. There's probably only a couple left anyway, so thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next week, and please remember that the 25th of July session is for 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Central European time. And we will announce a new 3-month cycle, most probably by next week, for August, September, and October. And we try to complete another part. As you've seen, we're becoming very open regarding to how you react. Now you can see in live the reaction of your own energies. We are not creating it. And then we see how you report to us. 12 days not eating, people changing their habits, and getting enlightened or even recovering from conditions they didn't know. Just try to be humble and try to understand that we are all part of a process of change. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you once again for yet another workshop, number 599 here. Next week's will be 600 in the continuing series of weekly workshops here, Knowledge Seekers Workshops. Today's Thursday, July 17th, 2025. And our next public teaching will be the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace. And that will be on the 22nd of July, already next Tuesday. And that will start at the 4 p.m. Central European Time with members and support members of the Universal Council who present that program. Okay, and again, thank you, Mr. Keshe, and thanks to everyone for attending today's program and for your questions. And we'll see you in the next public teaching. Bye for now.